Come on, finish him off. No, you're dead.
Look at this, he's like slapping the wall.
Oh, this is... How's it going, everyone, and welcome to our review of For the King. For the King is our 4th review we have been doing for our project, and we want to thank you so much for watching our reviews, and especially this one. Now, what is For the King? For the King is a strategic RPG tabletop turn-based game. The premise of the game is to avenge the slain king by defeating evil around the realm. Assemble your party in single or multiplayer, then take the chaos head-on. By taking turns at completing the Queen's quest, objectives, side mission, and all other aspects of this early access game. So the way the game works is that there are going to be different kind of characters you could choose for a game. There are like a lot of different classes you could choose, and then from that you'd start your game. They all have like different abilities, different things they could do, and different specialties they can have, so pretty cool. So the way the battle works is that you have different kind of classes, as I mentioned, and then you attack, and then the other person, the enemy attacks, and then you attack back. Sometimes they go twice, and then you go twice, and then it's cool. You just have to play it to really understand it. Now, For the King has been an early access game since February, for the reason being I still think the developers think they're under development and want to take a lot of reviews. So if you want to make your own reviews, go buy the game, figure out what you want developers to consider. That'd be kind of cool too. And the game is $15 on Steam. First of all, we're going to talk about the positives of For the King, because there are actually a lot of positives to talk about this game. This game, for an early access game, has really impressed me. Let's talk about the story in the game first. The story is actually pretty important to the game, because you at least I want to know what I'm doing in the game while I'm fighting all these guys. And it's pretty engaging. You could see it clearly in the quest and in the objectives you have to do. I just think that, at least compared to other early access games, the story is really important to the game. Another aspect I love about the game is the customization you could have for the characters. It's really engaging. Every time you start a game, every time you load up your same game file, you can change the way your characters look. You can change the colors, you can change pretty much everything about them, and I think that's really good. It actually reminds me of customizing my characters in XCOM 2, and I really like that part of the game. In terms of graphics, the graphics, they're not the most complex of graphics if you look at other games, but for this type of game, the graphics work for me. It's pretty simple, not too complex or advanced for me to be like, what is that? I know what everything is. It looks nice. Could it have some improvement? Perhaps, but I like it the way it is. In terms of the controls, sometimes there can be some glitches I'm going to mention on about the controls, but overall it's pretty easy to understand. They work pretty smoothly, and they're not that hard to learn the controls of the game, but sometimes it can get kind of glitchy in the movement of the game. Probably the one thing that will stand out in this game and in the gameplay you're watching is the battles in the game. The battles to me are what makes the game really good. They're quick, they're fun. They could be rage-inducing, but I think rage-inducing for a game is good up until a certain point, and I'm going to mention why a little later. But the battles are fun, they're engaging. Reminds me of a really similar to XCOM 2 battles. They're maybe not as long, but in the terms of how it plays, it really reminds me of it. Also, to mention the animation in the battles, it's really good. I really love the animation. It's funny. It is kind of weird at times, but I think it works really well. And the animation overall in the game, in the overall map, it's really good. I think it works well with the graphics and stuff like that. Another part of the game where the quest has to take you are the dungeon parts. And the dungeon parts are really cool, but they're like the boss battle of the game. And they're really fun. It's a lot of fighting. It's like straight to the point. But it can be kind of frustrating because it could lead to the game to end, because if you die in the game, just a warning, your game file will delete itself. I'm going to talk about a little more of that later, but the dungeon part is really cool, and you should keep an eye out for that because you're eventually going to have to do that, and it's actually really fun. Another quick side note is that the game did get updated just a couple of days ago recently and added a lot of a lot of new things. A lot of my negatives, because I was gonna do this review, I was playing the game and reviewing it. A lot of my negative notes got just trashed. Like, they took care of all of it. I'm like, okay, gotta play the game over again. And then one of my negatives was the achievements. I feel like the game should have had achievements by long ago, but the achievements are here now. The achievements are pretty cool. It's here now, so don't worry. And then another thing that they added that I really like is the saves. You could have multiple game save files, so you can have multiple games. It used to be that you could only have one game, and if you want to start another game, you would have to delete that game. So that is good. Good on the developers. They're taking suggestions from their consumers, their buyers, their players, and that's good. It's good that the developers are having that feedback and that conversation going back and forth. I will have to admit though, I have not played the multiplayer, and I don't really know how that works. I hear that they need to work on that, but there is a multiplayer. You want to play with a friend, this game seems cool to you, go check it out. It might be fun. Yeah. And then there are a couple of neutrals in the game, like the audio. The audio is good. It doesn't really stand out for me, but it's not bad. There is also an item shop where you could unlock like rare weapons you can get in the game and new characters you could use in the game. But other than that, it doesn't really offer that much, and I feel like there could be more added to it, but so far it's not that bad. But now, as in every review, we're gonna have to talk about some negatives I found from the game, and then maybe if you found some more negatives, comment down below or shoot the developers a review. So the way you look at how the turn system goes by in battles and stuff is like at the very top of the page, and even though I understand it now, it took me a while for me to understand personally. I feel like you can make it maybe a little more simpler. Like, it is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's easy to grasp on once you get the hang of it, once you start playing the game a lot. But I feel like you can make it a little more simpler for everyone to know, like, right from the get-go. You don't really want to have, like, the audience be like, oh, how does this work? Whose turn is it? Why do they get to go? Why can't I go? Another suggestion I think that developers should take in consideration is the advisor thing, as every game has from the beginning of the game for, like, new beginners. For me, the advising thing didn't really help out and didn't really offer a lot. I don't know, it seemed like they were really prevalent in the beginning of the game, telling me what is what, but other than that, I didn't really get that much cues. It told me like what focus is, and then what weapons do and classes, but other than that, not really anything. Now, talking about the amount of loot you can get from the battles, I just feel like there should be more variation with them. For me personally, I found that like a lot of the items were being repetitive and I wasn't really getting a lot. I was getting like teleporting spells, which I hardly use, and then money. And then that was really it. Maybe a couple cool weapons here and there, but other than that, not really. Like, maybe give some other cool spells. Like, I guess the poison, like, free thing is kind of cool. But like healing houses, I feel like there should be more healing houses, because it's kind of dumb. You have to go in the city and waste, like, I know it's cheap, but you start wasting money on healing houses for your whole party to heal. Well, you could be using that for, I don't know, perhaps more other weapons and stuff like that you could purchase, but instead I'm wasting it on heals, which I feel like that could be worked on somehow. And then the warning at the start of the game, I forgot to mention this. I don't really feel like it should be there. Like, why? People know it's an early access game. They don't really need to know, oh, before you're heading in here, it's an early access game, keep in mind. People know that when they purchase the game. It's pretty obvious that it's an early access game. And I guess the description of the game is kind of cool, but I just don't see the name of the warning of early access. I don't really see why that's necessary. In terms of glitches, I didn't really experience that many glitches, but there is one which I wish I caught recording, but I didn't. But when I was playing to find reviews to mention, or like things to mention about the game, sometimes when I was moving around my mouse, it was just going everywhere. Like, I could not if I wanted to go up, it would go like down, or if I want to go right, it would go like left. Like, it was really weird, and I would have to close the game in order for it to be fixed. And I just feel like that should be something they should look out for, because it's actually really frustrating. And then when you're moving around in like the overall map, there's a movement thing that will tell you how many like tiles you can move, which I think it's a cool concept. I just feel like it's somewhat random and frustrating, where like you want to go to a certain place and it's like, oh, it's 3 tiles away, you can only move 2 tiles. It's like, come on, it's literally right there. I feel like either get rid of it because it's that frustrating, or just make it like more involved, because it's kind of completely random and sometimes really frustrating for me at least. Another thing I feel like the developer should take into consideration is when you die in the game, let's say your entire party dies, and this is single player. When your entire party dies in like a dungeon or a battle, your game is done. Like it doesn't even, you can't even go back to your last save. Your game is just deleted. That game is done. You're gonna have to start a new game. And that to me is one of the most frustrating things I have encountered. Your entire game is done. In games like XCOM, if my squad died in a mission, the game wasn't done. I still had more people to choose from. But it is a different game, but I just don't feel like the game should be completely done. I feel like there should be a way back to get back in or revive your party. It is nice to have the reviving option, by the way. I should mention that, though. I also feel like that should be mentioned a lot more. If you die, your entire game resets. Because people don't want to like be like, oh, I'm just going to screw off this battle. And then figure out, oh, wait, my game is deleted? Oh. People should know that. It's really important. In the end, though, the game is really fun. It's engaging. And it's rage-inducing, which I like from games. I like to be mad at a game and be like, oh, I can do better. But there is sometimes a limit where it can be cross that threshold of, okay, now this game's just pissing me off. When you get full bars on like your hammer thing, you're about to swing at someone, and then you miss, or it's like dodge, or it's like block or immune, that is just frustrating. And I guess it's just part of the game that I just want to like complain about, but to me it's just frustrating. I just want to vent out. Overall, For the King is a top quality, at least for being categorized as an early access game. The game has a lot to offer. It's engaging, it's fun, it's raging, it runs well. It is a good turn-based game the way it is. With a couple of suggestions I hope the developer should consider. This game gives me a lot of feeling off of XCOM. With single player being already as good as it is and multiplayer being worked on and more people coming onto the game and the game being further developed and developers even taking a lot of the considerations as you can see from the last patch update, I think this game can go really far and the game you should be on the lookout for. The price is somewhat expensive, but I feel like it's worth it in the end. You should at least give it a look out. Maybe when a sale comes out, you should consider buying it. And yeah. Now, thanks for watching our review for the King. Make sure to stay tuned for our other reviews, especially Windward's coming up next, and then for our November reviews as well. And I hope you would stay tuned, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And make sure to check out For the King, or at least consider buying it, because that will really help out the developers and, you know, achieve our project goals. So, peace. I went in here with too low level. Oh, I'm dead. It's just game over. Ah. Wait, what? The game's over? Oh, that's retarded.